Smiling faces, the family way. Margaret Lewin Quilting will make your day.
Hi, I'm Margaret Lewin. Welcome to Margaret Lewin Quilting. Today we're going to be making this adorable little frog. I just think he is the cutest thing around. I've made him before and he was adorable. I call it a he. It may be a she. Who knows? But this is what we're making, and we are making it out of me and my sister's flour sack charm packs. Now, the pattern calls for a charm pack, but it only needs 20 of the 5-inch squares. So what I'm actually going to do is make it a two-sided frog. So I'm going to use 20 of them on the back and 20 of them on the front. So the first thing I need to do is get my 5-inch square sorted into two piles. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you what we do next. All right, I've got my first set of 20 laid out. So it's 4 by 5. I'll take another picture of it so that you can see what it really looks like, because I know you can't see all of yeah, I guess they're kind of all in there. Anyhow, I will take a snapshot and stick that in there so you can see. So now what I need to do is I just need to sew this together. So I'm going to sew the 5 together and then the 4 together. Once I've done that, I'm going to press it as I go. Once I get a row done, I'll get it pressed. I'm going to press everything one way and then the other way. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing to the other 20 that I've got, okay? Once I get both of these sewn together, then I'll come on back and let you see what they both look like sewn together. Then, at that point, we're ready to start quilting it. So I will be back to show you how I've pressed it and how both the front and the back are put together. And then we're gonna quilt it. I've sewn my rows together and I wanted you to see how I pressed my seams. So I did one row to the left, the next row to the right, to the left, and to the right. And then I was able to nestle my seams close together. And here is my first piece sewn. I'm gonna go ahead and get the second one sewn. Then I am going to back it with a piece of batting and just a scrap piece of fabric, something simple. And I'm gonna put it on the long arm and I'm gonna quilt it. I'll come on back when it's all quilt and we're gonna move on to the next step of making our little frog patch, which I can't get over how cute he is. So I'll be back in just a little bit to show you how to do frog patch. Now, if you're gonna quilt this on your own, this is a perfect project for someone who's learning how to quilt on their own, because you can just free motion all over it. I happen to have a long arm, so I'm gonna throw it on the long arm. All right, I've got my material all put together and I have quilted it. I quilted it in a really simple pattern of just lines crossing over other lines, and I think you can see it. So this is going to be my frog bottom, and it needs to be cut on the fold. This is my frog type top, and I need to cut it out, and then I need to sew it right here. So I'm gonna take it over the cutting table, and I'm gonna do a rough cut to split these. And then after that, what I'm going to do is actually use my pinking rotary blade to cut it. Then that way I've done 2 steps at once. So that's what I'm gonna do. You can see I rough cut out the pattern to start with. And one of the reasons why I think this pattern was designed in this way is so that you can really kind of pick all different fabrics to be within your frog. So what I've done is just looking at it, I placed them where I thought they'd look kind of cute. We'll see what it looks like in the end. I think this thing is going to be absolutely adorable. I'm thrilled with it so far. So I'm gonna take this over to the cutting table, I'm gonna get it cut, and then I'm gonna go back to the directions and follow the directions of the front first. All right, you can see that I've cut it all out. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to sew my top pieces together. So here's my top pieces, and you can see that I used my rotary cutter. I will give you a couple hints on the rotary cutter with the pinking blade on it. You have to go very slowly, and you do need to really kind of press it hard so that it goes through all of the materials. Now remember, I've got extra material here than what the pattern calls for, only because I wanted to quilt it on the long arm and I needed this backing fabric in order to do that. So my next step is I'm going to sew right sides together according to the pattern, and I'm just going to pin this, and then I'm going to again follow the directions with the seam allowance that the directions call for. So like I said, I'm going to pin this. And what this is going to do is this is going to make the front of the frog a little puffy, which I think is I think this is one of the cutest little patterns. So I am going to sew this together, and what I will do is make certain that I backstitch here and I backstitch here. I think backstitching on this project is probably really, really important. So I'm going to do that, and then I will be back for the next step. Along in the directions, it does say to press the center seam open. If you have what's called a tailor's ham, this worked perfect to lay the frog over it and then just press my seam open. So if you've got a tailor's ham, grab it and use it because it truly does help. All right, so my next thing is I need to sew my front and my back together. So what I'm going to do is grab my back, and this is my back. Now, according to the directions, what it tells you to do is to take your front and the back, put them wrong sides together, pin, and then sew around it. Now, the other thing that it tells you that you need to do is you need to leave one side open in order to get your pellets in there. So I'm going to start here, and I'll use this yellow pin to indicate my start, and then I'm going to stop here, and I'll use another yellow pin to indicate my stop. All right, I'm going to pin it all the way around, matching up the sides. Now, they're not going to match exactly, but that's okay. It's like a scrappy looking frog, and I think it's going to be adorable no matter what. But I'm going to get this pinned all the way around, and then I'm going to top stitch it. And what top stitch means is I'm just going to sew all the way around with my sewing machine. Now, what would have been cool maybe is if I had elected to use, you know, a fancy color thread of some sort, but I wanted to use do my first one pretty average so that I didn't have to really worry too much. I thought, well, let's keep it pretty neutral, and off we'll go. So I'm matching this all up, and I'll be back after I've sewn it. So I'll see you in a few minutes. I want to show you how I went about sewing the frog's eyes on. Before I put the poly pellets in, and before I went any farther, I took a needle, and I probably had 6 strands of thread. I just doubled it and doubled it so that it was pretty thick. And then you can see I'm just sticking the needle through one end of it, and then watch as I just go about sewing the button on. Now, I tried to keep it completely in the screen, and you can see here I had a little bit of trouble. But here we go. I'm just going to take my needle down, then bring it right back up again, and I'll pull it, and that button will just go right into place. And then I'm going to go through it a couple of times, just thread it through. Sorry that I went off camera here a couple of times. I tried to keep it in view, but it was not easy. So here we go. I'm sticking the needle back down through again, and then pulling it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a loop. And then what I will do is wrap it around the thread that's already there and tie it off. And what that will do is create a really strong button. pull or a really strong button sewn down. So here I am once, and I think I actually do it twice. I'm going to do it again. Just wrapping it around and then taking the needle through the loop that I made. There we go. And then I will take it back down to the other side and just cut it. Or I'll take it back to, oh, nope, I'm going to do it one more time. And then I take it to the back side and just create a knot. And I do that by going inside of the work, kind of pulling the work out. Here we go, I'm going to show you now. I kind of flip the work out a little bit. Take it down, and now here I am. I'm going to push that eye right towards the opening so that I can then just knot it right off. I'll create a knot and tie it. Now what I should have done, if I had been thinking, is I should have put the eyes on before I sewed it together, but I wasn't thinking, and I was in a hurry because it just was too cute. I needed to get it done. I wanted to get it put together so that I could see what it looks like. And here's my knot. You can see I had quite a few strands of thread there. I'm going to put a knot one more time and then I'll clip it off. So that is the start. Now, once there we go, it's all done. I have to explain something. We got so excited when making this frog that we forgot to tape filling it. So I made a second frog. Here we go. First thing that we're going to do is distribute them through the legs. And then in this one, because I want to use this one as a doorstop, what we're going to do is, I've already put a rock in there. Believe it or not, there's a, maybe I can show, maybe see the rock? There's a rock in there. And mine I made a lot bigger so I can move. Maybe you can see, maybe you can't. You can just squeeze it and it'll move the pellets down in the bottom. See how that foot's now full? So now I gotta fill this foot over here. This one's gonna be a little bit trickier. Bob, would you hold the rock up at his head? Oh, they know you're here. You just don't have to show your face, that's all. All right, so Bob's got the rock and I'm filling it down. Okay, so now my legs are full. So now we can let the rock just drop. That's got to have more. You tell me that's got to have more. Okay, so now I'm going to take a couple of my Wonder Clips and I'm just going to clip this side right here. Just a little bit. Because then I gotta sew it. All right, so now we're gonna finish putting the poly pellets in his sleeve. So go ahead and let go of the rock. Yeah, we're messing with it. Okay, so now for the rest of the poly pellets. And then once these are all in there, the last thing that I'll do is sew up the sides. And every once in a while, they get to the point that they're gonna fall all out, and you gotta stop and just shake it. Just kind of toss your frog around a little bit. And of course, mine's a little bit harder because I got a rock in there. So I gotta move the rock again. Yes, it was my brilliant idea for the rock. But it's gonna make the cutest little door stopper, I think, around. Okay, I think I got it. Is it better? All right, so now we're gonna put some more poly pellets in. And it does take a lot of poly pellets because what happens is they all get squished down. Whoa. Big time. So you just kind of keep pushing this thing around so that they go down in there. And then of course when you go to sew it, you do have to be a little bit careful that, okay, I can do more. You do have to be a little bit careful that you don't run over the pellets. All right, whoa, whoa. So I'm gonna sew a little bit of it here, right through here, so that I can get up to here, this open part, and then, whoops, and then we will do the last bit, but I want to really get into this part of the leg, and I can't because it's open right here. So I'm going to pause it for just a minute and then I'll come back. So if you were on the live with me today, you saw that on Facebook on Saturday, you saw that I was making a frog, another one, because I got so excited when we made the last one, when my husband and I were filming it, that I forgot to film it. So we're now doing our second one. And this one I'm going to use as a doorstop. And it actually is, I made it a little bit bigger and I put a rock in it. Talk about different. I really did. I stuck a rock in it. So here, I'm going to show you how we managed to fill it. Okay, that's close enough. Okay, so now that it's all filled, and well, let's make sure it's all filled. Maybe we can get a little bit more in there. Oh, we got that to go too. Yeah, let's try to just get a little bit more in. I don't think we can get all of it. Whoops. Yeah, this does happen. You're gonna be vacuuming up pellets in your sewing room. All right, I think that I don't dare do any more, do I? Mine's heavy, guys. It's got a rock in it.
Yeah.
Huh? I can get more
Foot's
in there?
empty.
Okay, so try to get a little bit more, I guess. But remember, I gotta be able to still get it underneath the presser foot. Just close it up. Is anything going in? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. All right, that's it. We're gonna close it up now. So now what I'm gonna do is just clip it with my Wonder Clips, and I'm trying to put my pellets way down in there. So you have to overstuff this part of it so that when you take it back out again, when you stop sewing it, you can actually distribute those pellets around. So I'm gonna take some real heavy duty pins here. All right, I'm gonna run this underneath the sewing machine. So I've gotta sew from here to here. I'm gonna get that sewn, and now we have our frog, which I think is going to make an absolutely adorable doorstop. So I'm gonna take a couple pictures of both of them for you so that you can see them. But don't do what I did, and if you're making a video, you gotta make sure you tape the whole thing so you don't end up having to make two. Or you may wanna make two only because they are so darn stinking cute. So, thank you so much for joining me today while I made my little frogs. And I will see you again really soon. Bye.